So, this is a really maturely written film. What was your inspiration for writing this film?
So my grandmother suffered a stroke when my mum was about 10 years of age, and I thought, what would have happened if she'd survived? So she passed away when my mum was about 10. I kind of wondered what would my mum had to have dealt with if she'd have survived and she would have been debilitated. So the film kind of sparked from that, and so it kind of went through that stage, and I realised that she would have been a child carer. Looked up the statistics, and I was shocked as you saw at the end of the film, 243,000 child carers in England and Wales. It's kind of, such an unknown member of society and what they go through. So I thought I had to kind of show that plight. So that was the aim, really.
Yeah, and they really, did a good job. So your cast and crew were very talented, experienced. How did you build your team, and what was your process in building them?
So for me, it started off with Max, the young boy in the film who plays the carer, and kind of in the treatment stage, I didn't really know if I could have cast a young actor at that point, and I thought I would have had to have cast older. And I saw him in The A Word by Pete Bowker, and it just blew me away. And he plays a young boy with autism there, and I was like, well, if he can play a young boy with autism, he can play a young boy watching his mum suffer a stroke and going through that part of his life. That started for me with that. Even before the script was written, we got him on board, and then it went through there, and I kind of brought on people I'd known from when I was, a runner or a script supervisor when I was younger. And we got on Alan McLaughlin, who was lucky because he had a BAFTA, so we kind of elevated the project. And then, so we just went through there and contacted agents, and luckily we got a perfect cast and crew for me personally as a director, so I was very pleased.
Yeah. So, the elephant in the room. You're incredibly young to be doing such an amazing film like that. It's, 19?
Yeah.
19!
I shot it. It was 2 years a month ago as well.
Oh my goodness!
We shot it in February. It's 2019 now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've lost 2 years of my life. Yeah, 2 years. 2 years ago. So it was
Well, that's phenomenal. Really is. And how did you? Have you got any advice for young filmmakers or writers like yourself? Because you seem to have skipped a few steps. You got any advice for any young filmmakers that are wanting to maybe step up? Their production and stuff?
I'd just say find your own way, because I tried copying directors of the past. If you try and copy Scorsese's career, you're kind of going through an era of VHS and 35mm, whereas kind of the platforms change so much. It's just to find your own way. I didn't go down the YouTube route that a lot of digital filmmakers are now. And it's worked in my benefit because I've been focusing on the big screen experience kind of thing, and that's my way of going. It doesn't mean it worked for everyone. So just find your own way, I'd say, and find your own voice, what matters to you, your niche. So for mine, it's society, people, compassion, and family. So just find that and hone it in.
Have something to say then, and say, cool. So at what point when you were making this film did you realise you had something special? There must have been a point where you're like, shit, this is really good. Was it when you were filming or when you were in post, or?
I have no idea. I still don't see it that way. For me, there's a moment in the film where the young boy looks at his mum, and they just lock eyes, and there's that kind of. I remember turning to everyone around me and kind of going, okay, we're making something that's interesting at least. And that for a moment I was like, right, okay, good morale boost. And just people signing on who I thought would never sign on. At the script stage. But you're always critical of your own work, aren't you?
Absolutely. Also, there's a scene with young Max, like the first scene where his mum's having a stroke. That must have been really, well, if you did it wrong, it'd be really traumatising for young kids. How did you approach that?
For me, it was a collaboration with Leanne, who plays the mum. We kind of just went into a room together and were like, how are we going to do this? Because he's a capable actor, but you have to be careful, and there's kind of rules that you can't cross. So we kind of just said, let's throw the script on the floor. Some of it's kept in there. He doesn't tend to learn his lines in advance. He kind of learns them right beforehand. He's a genius like that. And we just gave him a few beats, and we just said, watch this, pretending it's your own mum, and oh, well, that sounds horrible putting it like that. But yeah, just imagine it in the moment. That sounds terrible. But yeah, so that, and then my mum was in the room and we were shooting it, which made it worse.
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone loved different parts that got done. With me, the first time I watched it, it was when it was when the shopkeeper kind of was having a go at the daughter and said, you know what, it weren't too long ago when the whole community will have rallied around, you know, around your mum. I mean, and that kind of, I don't know, it stuck with me. That. I mean,
so glad that stuck with you. It's one of my favourite lines. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of, if I was to give this film another title, I'd call it Compassion, because I think that although we live in a great age, the world's changed, we have lost an element of compassion that society, I think, personally once had, where you kind of love your neighbour and you have that. So for me, it was kind of that microcosm of the society kind of going, well, make it, you know, love the people around you, have that compassion. And I think that's why I had the religious element. I mean, I was brought up Catholic. I'm an atheist now, thanks to Richard Dawkins, but for me, it was kind of, religion represents at least an element of society that has
on
compassion.
That communal level.
Yeah. People, I think, through religion, create compassion. So yeah, that was it for me.
That's great. And I've got one more question before I hand over to the audience. What's next? Or what have you been working on for the last 2 years?
So I've just been developing different things. So I'm writing at the moment. I'm developing another film, but it's a biopic this time. And it's to do with mental health and things like that. And yeah, I've just been developing that. It's a long journey with this one because it's very touchy subjects. It deals with child abuse, which is, you know, it's a really tough subject matter, and you have to kind of walk around it, but you can't be too, can't hold back too much. You have to be strong with it. So yeah, we're just finding that middle ground, and that's what we've been developing recently. So I think things crossed.
Smashing. So, has anyone got a question? Yes.
Yeah. What was the budget for the film, and how did you go around getting funding?
So the budget was about 55,000. Oh, sorry. Go on. Ask the question. No. I included the question. Yes. The question was, what's the budget of the film, and it was about 55,000, and that breaks up to, you know, the production, post-production, and distribution. So it's not just all on production. And basically we got funding through Choa Productions, who financed my last project. I didn't have like a 2-picture deal. That sounds really flashy, but basically I was in the edit for the film I did before, we were kind of like, well, what are we going to do next? And we were going to do something bigger budget this time, so we discussed this, and then it went from there really. Yeah.
Do you have any more questions? Yes.
Yeah, follows on from the budget. So what was your shoot schedule? How many cameras?
What was your shoot schedule and how many cameras?
So we shot single cam. Our shoot schedule, I think we shot in 6 days. So I can't remember. I mean, it's 40 pages script. So yeah, so it'd be about over 10 pages a day. Is it? Yeah, something like that. No, it's not. Of course, it's not. It's less. But yeah. We shot that, and it was probably about 10-hour days because we had a child actor, so we couldn't reach out to that 12-hour mark, which kind of meant that we probably could have shot it in less, but just because we had young Max, there's the guidelines, because I could go on for hours, but it's an issue. But yeah, so that was probably our general shoot, yeah.
Any more questions?
Where and how did you learn to do that?
That's a great question, isn't it? Where and how did you learn to do that?
Performance specifically as well, because I don't know how you get that much sincerity.
Do you mean directing?
Full stop.
The way that I got the performances through directing? For me, it was kind of, I never went to film school before shooting this. I did do a course at NFTS, but that was more after shooting the film, and I kind of went, well, might do something else. So yeah, for me, when I was doing this, it was more just, I don't go like the Judith Malina way of like learning to direct, where it's like, you've got to use transitive verbs and all that. For me, it's just having that communication with the actor and building that trust, and then kind of just tweaking. If you kind of let them fail on the first few tries, at least they've tried their thing, and then you can work with it because you'll find new things. So for me, it's just letting them do their own thing the first few times and kind of just observing and going, right, okay, that isn't how we're going to go with this, but at least we've tried it. And you just find so many nice nuances by failing and letting the actor have that room to do that. So that's it for me, I suppose.
Have you workshopped that a lot?
No, we didn't have any rehearsal time at all. I don't think I met any of the crew except Leanne and Max before the shoot, and that was just like for a coffee. So we didn't have any time to rehearse, except just before. But I think that kind of helped because you get a sense of it being in the moment rather than it being overly prepared. So I guess that worked for me at least. I won't mind having more rehearsal time though.